Summer 2005, a group of Métis youth set out paddling across the Canadian heartland. 2,300 kilometers, 52 days, from Thunder Bay, Ontario to Batoche, Saskatchewan. And another group of trekkers will set out from Batoche by horse and wagon. Their destination, an historic farm near Edmonton, Alberta, soon to become a Métis cultural and historical interpretive center. Two different journeys, both retracing routes traveled by their Métis ancestors. Both will showcase their proud Métis culture. For the participants themselves, it'll be a journey of rediscovery. For many, this will be the first time they'll experience the physical and mental struggles faced by their ancestors.
If we're going to survive as a people, we're going to have to make sure that our culture flourishes, that our song and dance, our music, our cultural heritage remains to be expressed and participated in. And again, this is where it's important that our youth become fully involved in these activities, because they're the ones that are going to be the guardians of our culture. They're going to take it into the future, and they're going to pass it on to future generations.
In order to know where you're going, you better remember where you came from. And I think these types of journeys actually reflect upon where did you come from, where you're going, and why is it who you are today, and what do you stand for, and why is your nation so different or so unique compared to other Canadians as in general. Even though we're Canadians, we still are a nation.
When we return on a Métis Summer, the journey begins. It's early July, and along the historic Red River, a group of 7 youth from the Métis Nation of Ontario have piloted their canoe from Thunder Bay, edging their way toward Manitoba's capital city. Winnipeg is about the halfway point of their journey, retracing the footsteps of their Métis ancestors.
It's pretty exciting to know that for hundreds, thousands of years, our ancestors have traveled these paths. And when we find a campsite, we might be going for 30 kilometers or more and not find a campsite, and then we find a beautiful place. And you know what? 200 years ago, it would have been the same. It's very possible it could have been the very same way the voyageurs would have done it.
We ready?
As the modern-day voyageurs prepare to leave for a short day's paddle to the heart of the city of Winnipeg, nature is not on their side. The Red River is bursting at its banks, and the forecast is not good. It means these voyageurs will be paddling against the current for the rest of the trip. Still, they leave with enthusiasm in their hearts. Today's destination, the Forks, and a celebration in their honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about a big hand for these canoers?
A handful of supporters greets them, along with a number of media. They've reached the halfway mark, and already many are watching their progress with interest. Following a much-deserved day off in Winnipeg, the voyageurs are re-energized. Despite dangerously high water levels, they remain determined to make it to Batoche in time for the annual Back to Batoche celebrations. But as they hit the water, it won't be easy.
We had no idea that this would be the worst floods ever in Manitoba, and we had no idea that there would be things like tornadoes, 70-kilometer gusting winds.
After hours of paddling, they managed to cover only a few kilometers by lunchtime. 25 grueling days lie ahead, and still the group lunges optimistically forward, determined to make Batoche on schedule. A few days go by. With the Assiniboine River now behind them, they prepare to battle the open waters of Lake Manitoba. But powerful winds and growing waves don't dampen their spirits. Determined, they're buoyed by support, encouragement, and generosity of others, although surprised to see the young voyageurs, complete strangers, welcome them with open arms.
Just coming out of my pasture, and I saw a boat along the lake, and normally around here when you see that, somebody's in trouble or something's going on. So I came out, and lo and behold, here I found this group of adventurous people on a long journey. I was very surprised, and I think this is the most exciting thing that is. I've been here 6 years, and this is the most exciting thing that's happened out here. It's pretty cool.
Day 34, and the voyageurs finally get a break from Mother Nature. Today's challenge is to tackle the often unpredictable waters of Lake Manitoba, hoping to make it to the Saskatchewan River in a few short days. This massive lake can present challenges for paddlers in any century, but luck is on their side. Mighty Lake Manitoba is cooperating. The wind is blowing in their favor. The sun is bright. It's smooth sailing. A strong southerly breeze allows them to rig a sail. The wind pulls them along at a clip of 9 kilometers an hour. Paddles are not required. For the group's guide, though, there's no time to relax. Angie needs to keep the canoe on course. As everyone else rests, it's an opportunity to reflect on the past 33 days.
I think it's been really inspirational for me because I've been able to re-explore and reevaluate my personality traits that I had long forgotten, because in the field that I'd chosen, being extroverted and being really physical weren't priorities, and being able to come back to that and enjoying the time that I've been able to spend here as a canoeist has been really inspiring.
I wanted to bring some identity to myself and learn some leadership roles, test your inner strengths. It's not easy to do something like this, and I'm really happy knowing that I've never done much of this way of life, and I've been able to deal with it.
On an expedition like this, you really have to come out of your comfort zone. Every day is a new challenge. So it's a growing experience because you push yourself to your limits, and you realize that you're actually able to do a lot more than you ever thought you could.
With a strong southerly wind at their backs, it's been 2 days of great weather. The group is relaxed and refreshed as they make camp and prepare the evening meal. Soon thoughts turn to the challenges ahead as they edge their way closer to the swollen, rushing waters of the Saskatchewan River. Their concern is, will they be able to paddle the fast-moving river and make it to Batoche on time? It's been an exhausting week. A strong southerly wind has persisted, but instead of pushing them, it's now hitting them straight on. Batoche is close, merely a few kilometers away, but the wind and the current are too strong. Like their ancestors before them, the unsettled conditions force the voyageurs to get out and walk along the bank, pulling their canoe beside them. But the reward at the end of the day is worth it. It turns out they'll be camping at the site of an old Hudson Bay fort called South Branch House. Archaeologists are excavating the site, and there's an eerie feeling in the air. It becomes even more eerie as the voyageurs hear the history of the outpost. It was established in 1786 and has a short life. In 1794, the fort was attacked and all the inhabitants were killed except one man who took refuge under a garbage pile in a cellar. The fort was never rebuilt. The group learns that it's quite possible some of the handful of people massacred were Métis. As the voyageurs look out over the river below the fort, they pause and think about the tragic events that took place on this very spot over 3 centuries earlier. Day 51. The voyageurs are just downstream from Batoche. They'll camp here for the night. Tomorrow, they'll complete their journey.
Before I started the trip, I didn't really know that much about Métis culture and that kind of stuff.
With Batoche within reach, Chris reflects on how the trip has helped the group to understand their roots.
I think this is probably one of the best ways, or if not the best way, to get involved in Métis culture, because after signing up for the trip, I just sort of got thrown right into it, and everywhere we go, that's what we see.
A heavy fog greets the voyageurs as they set out on the last day of their step back into time. Although the fog obscures their vision, their destination is clear in their minds. Just a short paddle away is Batoche, and what will likely be a hero's welcome. With each paddle, they edge closer to their final destination. On shore, a large group has gathered. Anticipation and excitement grows as the young paddlers come into view. For this is an overwhelming moment, an historic moment, a proud moment for Canada's Métis.
This is such an achievement for them. It's such an accomplishment. They're bringing us such honor to the Métis Nation for what it is that they're doing.
I'm so proud of them to have done what they did against the weather, against the currents that have been challenging them, particularly the last couple of weeks. But just really proud, I guess, just a lot of pride, certainly emotion, not only for them but for myself, just to have accomplished what they did. And I hope that people realize the superhuman task that these young people have did and made it this far. And today's the big day, the 52nd day, and we've arrived at Batoche.
Seven young voyageurs who began this amazing journey as strangers have forged a lifelong bond and an understanding of their Métis culture and history. They take center stage to be honored for their accomplishment. Following the ceremonies, the group of 7 explore their destination. For most, they've never been here before. As they tour the sites, another group of modern-day adventurers prepares to start their journey back in time. Soon, dozens of Métis will leave Batoche by horse and wagon. Destination, Métis Crossing near Edmonton, Alberta. When we return, part 2 of A Metis Summer. July 23rd. The horses are harnessed, the wagons loaded, ready to begin a 600-kilometer trek that'll take them along the historic fur trading route of the Carleton Trail. It's an ambitious 34-day project to retrace the trail followed by their Métis ancestors centuries earlier. They plan to arrive at Métis Crossing in time for the opening of the new interpretive center. Today, as the official speeches end, the journey begins. They'll stop in communities along the way to share their culture, their history, their music, and their friendship. It's day 2 of the trek, and the wagons are about to enter the traditional territory of the Beardy's Okamasas First Nation. As they approach, a warrior greets them.
They had a dog soldier in the ditch waiting for us as we came, and then had a scout come and talk to us and ask us what our intentions were, and then we sent a gift over to them, and they then acknowledged us.
Gifts are exchanged, and the Métis wagon track moves forward, and the leaders are greeted inside this teepee, away from the camera's lens.
And we all sat around and talked about what our journey was about, and the significance of youth and the significance of protocol in our lives, discipline and tradition, and what it means to all of us.
In keeping with Aboriginal tradition, the Métis visitors are invited by their First Nations hosts to camp for the night and join them in a round dance held in their honor. Cultural exchanges like this one will become a cornerstone of the trip. A few days later, the horses and wagons roll into Mayfair, Saskatchewan, welcomed by community leaders with open arms. At the town hall, the visitors are treated to a showcase of Ukrainian heritage.
When we unite the cultures, we can have a very interesting and profitable experience. And I think this is great here tonight to see the Slavic and also the Métis and anyone coming forward and doing their talent. I think it's great.
We want to learn as much as we want to show. So like I'm saying, like this is a 50-50 thing. It's not a we're coming in, we're telling you who we are. We want you to tell us who you are and how we can all fit. We just wanted to make sure that people understood that we had a significant part to play in the development of this country, and that, yes, we did, but so did they.
As each day passes, they edge closer to their destination and are enthusiastically welcomed along the way by residents of small prairie towns. Often they're invited to join in potlucks and socials. It's also important for youth to be involved in the trek, because it's hoped they'll learn what life was like living on the trail so many years ago, life's lessons.
To learn respect, to respect their elders, because that was the whole reason we brought them here, was so that they could be part of something to do, like living like our ancestors did. And they worked with a lot of elders and a lot of other people, and our biggest thing that we tried to press on them was respect your elders, respect everyone.
And I believe youth that participate in things like this, it will, I think, give them a focus where they will want to continue to participate within the Métis community. Hopefully, within the cultural community, but also eventually within the political community.
The trek arrives on Onion Lake Reserve along the Saskatchewan-Alberta border.
Lift up here, Joe.
After a morning of ceremony, Métis leaders join the wagon trek in officially crossing into Alberta. And just like Saskatchewan, Albertans eagerly welcome the visitors.
People would just bring us things like fresh produce from the garden. They'd offer us feed for our horses. They'd come out and they just give us tokens of appreciation through money, and it was just like amazing to me.
August has arrived and the weather is turning cooler. Nothing escaped the rain. Everyone was chilled to the bone. Like the canoeists, weather remained the biggest hurdle.
When it was raining and it was cold, I think that was hard on the horses, that was hard on the people, but we had warm spirits and there was lots of hot coffee and everything.
But it's the Métis way to push on, staying warm by fires at night and taking advantage of the good weather when they can. And everywhere they go, the warm welcome they receive bolsters their spirits. It's been 32 days since the wagon trek began. Métis crossing is close. They're confident they'll easily reach their final destination in a couple of days. Meantime, Another group of voyageurs is preparing to leave from historic Fort Edmonton to paddle 3 days down the North Saskatchewan River toward Métis Crossing in time for the opening ceremony. Several canoes, many paddling for the first time. They camp the first night in Fort Saskatchewan, where locals come out to greet them, to experience Métis culture. The next night, as they camp on the shore of the river, one of the Métis Nation's best jiggers kicks up some dust.
How about a big round of applause to our wagon trekkers that all make their way past you guys.
Back on the Carleton Trail, the trekkers quietly wrap up their 34-day journey as they slip into Métis Crossing. The trail-weary group is satisfied the trek has accomplished its goals of reinstilling Métis pride. Modern-day Métis voyageurs have followed the paths of their ancestors, and over the course of a summer, they've clearly shown Métis are a proud people, with a strong history and a strong culture.
This is showing the best of us as a people, our courage, our determination, our strength, and our resolve.
We as Métis people can do tremendous things together, and we just showed that. We showed that we can work together and do projects that are huge like this, and it shows people that we're united, whether it's Manitoba, Saskatchewan, or Alberta, or Ontario, it doesn't matter. We're all working together to lift the voice of Métis people.
It's a happy time for us. It's a proud time, and I think it's only going to get better because we are very strong, as you can see.
The youth, when they came here, they knew we are Métis, and now we're proud to be Métis. So it's a big difference. When we walk behind the wagons or anything, like some of our kids carry flags and they cheer. And
we can come across 600 and some kilometers in 34 days as a community, an overall community, and function as one, and that everybody needs one another to get along.
We come across the three provinces, you know, doing our flags, making people aware that yes, we're still around, we're not forgotten, and we don't want to be forgotten.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud to be Métis. I'm still learning more about what it means to be Métis and what the whole culture's about, but it seems like it's a pretty big thing to be a Métis, and it's a pretty special and unique thing too in Canada to be a part of that history and a part of where we've come from.